A Pandit woman in Delhi used to spend time with her horse after her husband left. One day when the groom came home early and saw his wife spending time with the horse, the sky fell on his head because I took my mother from Delhi to Mumbai all over for treatment. But he was not right. There was a Pandit father in Delhi. I heard many praises of him, that anyone who goes there is cured of all his diseases. I was treating my mother everywhere, but his foot disease was not right. Doctors said that we suspect it is cancer. I was very worried after hearing it. When I told this to my friend, he told me about Tantric Pandit Baba. But I did not believe much. Even then I believed because I heard Baba's name from many people, and walked back to recover. Seeing this, I was forced to believe. I used to think that God always does a lot for good people. I reached Delhi with my mother and was going inside the temple with my mother. Just then I hear someone crying. A girl sat there with her head down and was crying. He seemed very worried. He works in my office. But I was surprised to see that he came here crying. He was crying in a way. I thought maybe he must have a problem. I took my mother home and put her in a place and continued to pray to God. May God heal the mother. Take mother home in a while. But at night I kept thinking about that girl. When I go to the office in the morning, then I saw that he was doing his own work. I felt like going and asking what Baba went to the temple to do. Then the future is not right to ask. I have never looked at that girl before. But now look. I go to the father's temple with my mother. Almost every day I saw him sitting in that temple. I could see him crying the same way. Now I have a lot of thoughts. He looks like he's in trouble. What is the problem that he secretly went to the father's temple and cried? My interest in that girl is increasing day by day. One day when he was running his laptop, when I was going from there, I saw what I saw on his laptop and I was blown away. I stood there. He was giving my photo on the laptop but didn't realize I was standing behind looking at his laptop. My mother's legs started to feel much better than before. When I go to the temple again with my mother, I saw that girl sitting in the temple crying. I put the mother inside and came out and stood behind that girl. I stood behind him listening to all the prayers he prayed. She was crying a lot, and he was praying not for anyone else but for me. I was very surprised to hear it. I did not understand anything. That day I saw my own photo on his laptop. I do not know when he took my photo, but I realized that maybe he loved me and was praying to get me here, crying for me, but I did not know the reason for his prayer. For him, a soft place began to form in my mind. Slowly I started to love him. But the problem arises when I find out that the girl is a Pandit and nobody likes these people in my house. But I did not see anything bad in him. But I know this when I offer her love. When I tell him I am single, his face turns pale. I prayed so hard to get you, I can't live without you. Meanwhile my situation was a bit like this, she says crying. Capital I. Tell him that you try to convince the people of your house for marriage. And I am talking about this with my mother. I knew that mother loved me very much. For this reason, this word will not object. But my idea was completely wrong. When I told my mother about Radha, she got very angry. Are you crazy? I will not marry you under any circumstances with a tantric girl. You know father's anger will kill me along with you. I tell my mother that she is a very good girl and she loves me very much. Then the mother says that such girls marry simple boys in this way so that they can include him in their group. You don't know it. There is no need for this. I will not marry you under any circumstances. I will never accept that girl. I say, mother, I love that girl very much. Can't come back as soon as possible. You will take marriage relationship for me to that girl's house, okay? Saying this I went to my house, but I did not know what danger was waiting for me. The next day the father returned from Mumbai and then I was at home. His eyes were very angry. He says, I will not kill you or I will kill that girl. I do not know how the Pandits are, their status, lifestyle, and I will never accept such a girl. As a housewife, I say, Father, she is very good, you meet her once, Father. But my father doesn't say, if you ever talk about marrying that girl again, I will kick you out of my property. I'll kick you out of the house. On the other hand, when Radha tells her parents about this, her parents stopped going to her office. He began to keep a close eye on it. When I call Radha's phone, then she very softly cries that her parents stopped. They say they will never marry me with you. None of us could find a solution to this problem. For some days I kept making many requests to my parents. I try hard to convince them. But then everything happened. They blew my mind. Radha's phone comes and she says that Radha's father will marry Radha with Radha's cousin's son as soon as possible. I am very angry after hearing this. I start a fight with my parents. I say, if that girl gets married to someone else, but I will give my life. My father was very angry. Under no circumstances can I marry you with that girl. It is good that she is getting married to someone in her clan. After hearing this, I came to the kitchen and cut the vein of my hand with a knife. By the time I was taken to the hospital, I was bleeding a lot. I was struggling with life and death and calling Radha's name. Finally my father gave up. When Radha came to know about this, she secretly came to meet me. Then I knew I needed 4 to 5 bottles of blood to save me. My parents were crying beside me. When Radha came to meet us, I asked my father if he would marry me to Radha now, yes or no. His family will marry him somewhere else. That's why Radha and I got married in the hospital. After marriage, he went to his father's house. I was fine after a while. I went to Radha's house with my parents. When Radha's father told us about our marriage, then he said that we will file a case. But Radha agrees. And when we go to court, we will say that we are married with each other's consent. When we stuck to our own decisions, our parents had to oblige. Then, Radha's father says that you can marry Radha, but he has nothing to do with us. I married Radha after a month. When he comes to our house, he brings his pet horse with him. I take that horse to the back of the house and tie it up. But I didn't know how much trouble I was going to get into. 4 days after my wedding, my parents went back to Mumbai. The door of our house is always open for you. But if you bring your wife with you, we will never let her into the house. His relationship is not only with you and us. I thought they were very angry now. This is why talking sometime will be fine. We were very happy with each other. But knowing that I really got to know about Radha blew my mind. One night I woke up at 3 o'clock. I just saw that my wife was not in my room. This is not very strange to me, because I knew he prayed to God, so he got up early and might be preparing for the puja. I thought I would ask him to give me a glass of water when he came. My situation was a little worse. I was very angry but did not want to get up, but I waited half an hour when my wife did not return. Then I had to get out of bed for a snack. I got up and went out myself. But I was surprised when I saw the kitchen was empty, and the hall was empty, and the second room was empty. Now I was really worried. I was looking all over the house and there was no Radha. Where will Radha go now at 3 o'clock at night? I keep calling Radha, but he will respond if he is at home. It had been half an hour. I was sitting at home in the cold of Konkan, wondering where Radha had gone. I have been thinking that my wife is very good. My marriage was 6 months, but I never saw a day when he stopped praying to God. He was always vaccinated on the forehead. After a while, when he opened the door and came in, he was a little nervous to see me in front. I asked him where he went, but without answering my questions, he went straight to his room. I'm angry at him. Behind him I went home. I saw him sitting in the room. Maybe he was going to sleep. I tell him I was telling you something. Where did you go? Then he said I was sitting at home and worshipping. Then the house owner's little daughter came to our house. The owner of the house we stayed in lived upstairs. He only had a 14-year-old daughter. Radha had a very good friendship with him. But why did he come at 3 o'clock in the morning? When I go to ask about this, he told me that his mother's health is bad. That's why I went to see his mother. But I didn't know that you would doubt me. I felt sorry for myself. I said that's not the case. I couldn't find you anywhere, so I was worried about you. That's where it ends. But after a few days, when I came back from the office, then my landlord was there. Suddenly remembered his wife. I wonder how his wife is not asked once. I ask how your wife's body is now. Is he okay? A few days ago, his body was not bad. In the middle of the night that came to call your daughter Radha. How are you now? He was very surprised to hear me looking at me. What happened to my wife? My wife is fine. Nothing happened to him and he is sick. Your wife went to our house that day. After hearing this, I was disturbed. That Radha lied to me. Why did he lie to me? I digress by saying that he might have been talking about someone else's wife being sick. I thought maybe your wife is sick. I handled the situation. When I came home, Radha was cooking. Today I could not eat properly. I eat a little and go to my room to sleep. Every time Radha gets up at 3 o'clock and goes out of the room. Then I went after him. I did not sleep all night because I was lied to. That's why I wanted to know where he used to go in the name of puja when it was night. After a while, when I came to the hall room, then I felt as if someone just closed the door. After a while, I opened the door slowly and went out. I see that Radha is going towards that back of the house, where the horse was the obstacle. I keep running back and forth. Then I saw something. I was surprised to see that. I did not understand what I saw with my own eyes are all true. I remembered my own mother. Maybe he was right to say that these girls have no respect. Anyone can do anything. I came back home from there. My head was spinning as I sat up in bed. After a while, Radha came back to the house. When he saw me, he was worried again and say, "You are still awake. Where are you coming from now?" After hearing my words, his face turned pale. Said I was worshipping. I looked at him deeply. I was sorry to hear him, because I didn't even want to look at him in whatever he did in the name of worship. I felt like I had made a big mistake. Capital I should have listened to my mother. I lie down quietly. But how long will I endure what he was doing? Those were the wrong actions. My mind started to rise from him. I was regretting my own wrong decision. If I had not seen her tears at that time, I did not see love for myself in his eyes. At that time, if I had managed myself, I would not have been in such great danger today. I can't find peace at all. I felt that the amount of time I spent with him was unfair, because what he was doing is wrong. I feel that I should talk to Radha directly about this, as I am beyond my tolerance limit. I don't want to spend another moment with him. That's why I thought if he accepts, then it's okay. And if he himself does not stop doing this, but I will give him a divorce. That night when Radha came home, I was seeing me quickly fell asleep. I said, "You sit up. I have something to say to you." Then he sat up and I said that I know you don't go to worship God. You don't even stay in the hall. You go to the horse that is in the back of the house. Hearing this, Radha looked at me and said, "Yes, what's wrong with that?" I was surprised to hear it. I say, "You can't see anything wrong with that. You know what you're doing? You worship that horse. You think the horse is God, which is a sin. I can't spend the rest of my life with such a girl." Hearing my words, Radha looked at me in surprise. "And you think wrong? Horses are considered very sacred here. And before the horse is worshipped, my parents only brought horses into our home when the foal was very young. And his upbringing has been done specially. We always keep clean and pray before him. And he also prays. Many times thought tears from his eyes. He says, I have hidden this from you, because I knew that you will never believe my words. But we accept these. What they believe is their belief. But one thing I like very much is that they think of horses as gods. Everything I thought about Radha was wrong. It's been 10 years of our marriage and now we have children and Radha follows their rules very well. But the sad thing is that my parents do not accept Radha even now. Go to Mumbai with your child once a year. My parents love me a lot. But Radha gets angry when he hears the name. Radha's parents did the same thing. Her parents just hated me. Now we regret our decision. Because our children were growing up. He now asks about our family. That's why we don't go to each other's family. But we had no answer to this question and